how do we bring God into our everyday life more? So often, if I get really emotionally bogged down by something or totally stressed out about something in my life, I can finally talk to somebody about it and they're like, well, what does God say? And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Welcome to the High Vibe Life podcast, where we are obsessed with all things manifestation, neuroscience, personal growth, and quite simply, living a life beyond our wildest dreams. I'm Moira Casaba, author, speaker, podcaster, manifestation, and mindset master. Since getting sober 25 years ago, I've helped tens of thousands of women break through and achieve massive levels of wealth, joy, and freedom. Now it's your turn. Let's dig in. Welcome back to the show, and I am so thrilled and excited to share just this little nugget with you today. It's something that I actually came across on Instagram maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I immediately shared it with my audience there when I found it, and it has been just sitting with me in the most beautiful ways ever since. I've been thinking about it every day. It's been on my heart. I've been thinking about how we can kind of take this thing that I'm getting ready to read and go further with it and apply it into our everyday life. So here's what it is. It's called The Diary of Jesus. I watched her today like I always do. She rolled out of bed and slid into her fuzzy slippers. She trudged into the bathroom and began her normal routine, washing her face, putting her creams and makeup on, and curling her hair. She grew frustrated when a piece of hair wasn't doing the right thing and got mascara on her eyelid. After finishing, she looked in the mirror and smiled. Not the smile she does when she's watching babies and puppies, but the smile that she smiles to convince herself everything is okay. She sighed and started her day. I wish she had heard me when I whispered, "You're one of my best creations." But she didn't. She was already pouring herself a hot cup of coffee and running about her day. She went out the door without grabbing breakfast. She thought lunch would taste better if she knew she hadn't wasted the calories on breakfast. Lunch came and I was looking forward to our talk we always have before she eats, but a coworker distracted her and she forgot about it. But I blessed her food anyway. She was exhausted when she got home, but she made time to run to the gym and get a workout in. She's determined to lose the 10 pounds I gave her during summer pool parties, dinners catching up with her family, and the s'mores she had sitting around the fires laughing and talking. I tried telling her that she was perfect during her treadmill time, but the music in her AirPods drowned me out. Dinner came and went without a word from her. She's been so busy today, but she always talks to me before bed. I look forward to it every day. She crawled into bed, and sure enough, she said, "Hi, I missed you today. I'm sorry I got busy and forgot about our conversations." I reminded her that I was there the whole time. She promised to try harder tomorrow, and although I already knew how tomorrow would be, I whispered, "I'll be here tomorrow too." It brings me to tears reading it again. It definitely brought me to tears the first couple times I read it. And it's so interesting because when I first read this, of course it just hit home, right? We're so crazy, we're so busy, we're so distracted. And I immediately started thinking, I've moved beyond a lot of that. I'm not worried about the 10 pounds, I'm not, I don't have to go to the gym, or I don't skip breakfast because of the calories. I've grown so much, that's not me. But is it? Because there's so many other things that I could put in its place, right? It could even be, I had to go do one more load of laundry for the kids. I had to, create one more piece of content for my work. I just had to do one more thing, right? And I feel like it's so much of how we all live. And so the thought came to me of how do we bring God into our everyday life more without forgetting? I can't tell you how many times I've actually said to people, and this is stuff I teach, I'm the one that teaches all this, and I have masterminds and I'm on stages. But when it comes to my own life, so often if I get really emotionally bogged down by something or totally stressed out about something in my life, I can finally talk to somebody about it and they're like, well, what does God say? And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Like I'm so busy and I'm such a problem solver and I'm such a doer that so often I completely am go through, hours, if not days of struggle, and I forget to go to God with it. And I get better and better at it over time, but it's certainly not perfect. And my primary question in life, and not a healthy way, I will say. So I learned this about 10 years ago. I was in a 4-day intensive workshop on all growth things. And the person that was teaching it said, we all have a primary question. It might be, how can I do better? How can I win? How can I do this? Like we all have this primary driver within us. And it took me a while to discover that my primary question that I'm pretty much asking 24/7, right? So your primary question is something that is just constant. And for me, that's, what do I need to do? What do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? What do I need to do for the kids? What do I need to do for the house? What do I need to do for my job? What do I need to do for this? It's just it keeps me just in that go, doing, busy, 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 to the point of burnout so often, right? And so again, this diary of Jesus for me could be just that. Like so often it's even like, we have, I believe, like this self-care burnout epidemic even happening, where it's like, I have to do one more ice plunge. I have to do one more meditation. I have to read one more book. I have to take one more class. And it's like, where is the time where we're just sitting with God and we're not doing, but we're receiving? We're not asking, but we're listening. And so I really want to ask you that in your life today is, how can you find more moments in your day? And I'm a big believer in like the science of habits. And, I study the brain all the time and how our brain forms habits and forms, loops in our brain. And so a lot of it is putting things into place that become habit, that don't require effort anymore, that it's just a part of what you do. One of my friends yesterday, I was asking her this question and she said, I get on my knees every single day and pray. It's just part of what I do. And that habit of hitting my knees is forcing me into the habit of time with God. I was thinking about, so often I have bracelets with lots of words on them because I constantly create bracelets with words on them to remind me of certain things. I remember one time it said beautiful states, which is such a random thing to put on a bracelet, but it was a reminder to live in beautiful states, beautiful emotional states. Choose joy, choose love, choose peace. We get to choose where we live emotionally. But if we're not being conscious of that, we default so often to, exhaustion for me, or just kind of flatness, or even irritability for some of us. And so we have to bring it to the forefront of our mind to be conscious, to make those habits happen, right? This bracelet that I have on right now, it's all these little gold beads, and 3 of them are turquoise. And those 3 stand for G-O-D. And so often I look down at this bracelet and I think, oh yeah, my daughter gave it to me. Thank you for the reminder. And I connect, right? And I just think, I'm here. You're here. I often think of that book, what was it when we were growing up, like, hello, God, it's me, Margaret, or something. That's always like in those moments I think that, like, hey, God, like, it's me, Moira, like, I'm here. I know you're here. Like, let's just have that moment of connection, right? One of my dear friends, no matter what we're eating, right? It could be like we're grabbing something just super casual out of like a grab and go fridge somewhere. And she's like, hey, and she'll always just pray. And so often I'll even see her if she's, say we got Starbucks or something and I'm not eating and she is, she'll just take a moment, right? There's always that moment that she takes to give thanks because it's her habit, because she's created that. And so where are those moments in your day where you can connect more and not be so busy? I was thinking about a couple different things. I have a I have a prayer bench in my bedroom that it was my father's, and he used to sit and kneel on it every single morning. I have his old prayer books in it. And it's a beautiful thing when I see my husband kneeling and praying in the morning on that prayer bench. But it's something in my day that kind of stops me and grabs my attention and pulls it to the right place, right? I always love to talk about creating habits of bookending your day. So we hear so much about a morning process, a morning process, a morning process. But I always think, yeah, but do you have an evening process? Because we can have a morning process and we can get like knocked off our game so quickly. And then we're kind of like off the beam for the rest of the day that so often I think we need to have that morning process and that evening process of maybe there's a devotion next to your bed at night. Maybe you're just taking time to write in a journal and give gratitude and give thanks. But something at the end of your day to anchor you back in, right? So that's what I want to leave you with today. There were a couple more things that came to mind. For some reason, when I was preparing for this and I was thinking, like, what do I do? I thought back to when my kids were little and I would make them play the alphabet game in the car, which just simply meant you start with A and tell me something you're thankful for, and then I'll go B, and then you go C, and then D, and then E, and then F, and we would just go around the car thinking about things that we're grateful for that begin with that letter. And there was a period of my life, too, that I got really intentional about being in the habit of just saying thanks before I went to bed. So meaning like talking about this concept of bookending your day, I'm always the last one, almost always, to go to bed in my house. And so the kids are in bed, my husband's in bed, and I kind of go out to the kitchen one last time to like shut lights off and clean up a couple things. And instead of, for some reason, the words thank you are more impactful for me instead of saying like I'm grateful for in a gratitude journal, I just walk through my home and I say thank you for this and thank you for that and thank you for that and thank you for this. And it makes me think of, people that were sitting at my dining room table maybe a month ago. Thank you for them. And the kids that were outside at the pool last weekend. Thank you for those relationships and thank you and thank you and thank you. And, anytime we are in this like gratitude thankful game, the second you start, it snowballs, right? Like you think of, well, I'm thankful for my children's school, which makes you think of this specific teacher, which makes you think of this specific experience, which makes you think of this other child, which makes you grateful for that relationship, which makes you grateful for this. And so going on just a thankful tangent is such an incredible way to just connect with your creator. And so I leave you with that today. We'll put it in the show notes. It's called, again, The Diary of Jesus. And I hope that it is as impactful for you as it was for me. And I would love for you to share this episode on your social, tag me, share it with a friend that it would make an impact with. And we will see you next week.